May 8th, 2004, that was my graduation day from medical school. That was almost one of the happiest days of my life, except when I got married. A lot of people don't realize this, but I didn't get into medical school the first time that I applied, and that's how I ended up teaching and taught school for 1 year. I taught 7th grade earth science at a school in Washington, D.C. I won't name the school, but it was in a rough neighborhood, and it made the movie Lean On Me seem like a walk in the park. I taught 7th grade earth science, and it was crazy. But I might still be there today if the kids had been good, but it wasn't where I was supposed to be. There's a quote by T.D. Jakes that says, "I would hate to die and not do the thing that I was born to do." So I applied to medical school a second time while I was teaching, and I got in. I got in at Howard, where I had gone to college, where I did my undergrad. And everybody there was super smart from all over the country, really all over the world. And I did okay in my classes. But medical school is set up in kind of two parts. The first part is the academic part, where you're taking coursework, anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, to learn the science background of why you're doing what you're doing. And then the second part of it is your clinical part, where you're going into the hospital and going into offices and kind of learning how to apply what you learn to patients. Now, some medical schools require you to take your first part of your licensure exam before you can move to the clinicals. And my school's one of those. So I ended up having to take step 1 before I could move on, and I failed it. So they put me on a kind of a reduced class schedule that allowed me time to study, and I took it again, and I failed it again. And this time it was by like 1 point. So at this point, I'm embarrassed, I'm devastated. Everybody knew I had failed at this point, and I was also behind the class that I came in with. So my school sent me to an extended study program to get ready for my 3rd attempt for the test. And at my school, you only get 3 chances to take the test. If you fail the 3rd time, then that's it. It's a wrap. You're out of medical school. I ended up passing it that 3rd time. 3rd time's the charm. And what that taught me was perseverance, and it also taught me how to deal with standardized tests. Doctors, well, all doctors really take standardized tests through their entire life. So I think that was the purpose of that, for me to kind of figure out what I was doing and be able to succeed from that point on. So match day is a big day across the country for medical students. Match day is like the NBA draft. You put your first choices in of the place that you interviewed, and then the places that interviewed you put the candidates in the order that they like them. It goes into a computer, does whatever it does, and spits out a match. But sometimes people do not get matched. They don't get a spot anywhere, and that's what happened to me. So it's called something else now, but back then it was called the Scramble, and I ended up entering that program, the Scramble program, where you're looking for an open position. Sometimes programs have slots that they didn't fill, and I ended up scrambling into this general surgery slot down in Virginia. And it was a preliminary surgery year, so it's a 1-year program. It's really designed for people going into other specialties that need to learn about surgery. They have neurosurgery, they have plastic surgery, they have anything that you could think of to kind of fix you up after an accident. They had a helipad where they're flying injuries in from all over. So they basically could put anything back together again if you had a bad car accident or your foot got cut off by your lawnmower or anything like that. There's one particularly bad call night where we had a girl come in. She was the victim of some gunshot wounds. They had been doing CPR in the field for maybe like 15 or 20 minutes when she came in. And when they brought her in, we kind of continued trying to resuscitate her. because she was too critical to take to the emergency room. So we were just working on her right there in the trauma bed. And you could see the entry wounds where the bullets had gone in, starting in her chest, and kind of went around to the back. From what we think happened, allegedly her boyfriend had shot her, that she was facing him when it started out, and the shots in her chest kind of went around to her back as she was turning and trying to get away from him and get out the car. And they had already been doing CPR in the field for maybe like 15-20 minutes as she was on her way to the hospital. And we worked on her. I think my attendant was either close or he was in-house, because all of a sudden he was there with the rib spreaders and basically opened up her chest, put the rib spreaders in, and started cranking it and cranking it. And you kind of hear her ribs cracking as he turned it. And he lifted her heart out of her chest and started pumping in his hand. And her heart was about the size of a small apple. And he's pumping. And we're just trying to get this girl back, And then all of a sudden, one of the other residents sees some bubbles in the veins in her heart. So that was it. We called the code. Once you see that, then the person's already dead. Now that was 10 years ago. And I still am like in tears thinking about this girl. But that's the way that medicine is. If that's your calling, you love it. It's the scariest, most awesome career that you could ever have. What I found out from that experience was that surgery was not for me. I ended up going into family practice, but it taught me how to be fearless. It made me tough. So now I'll do any kind of procedure to you. I remember seeing a patient in her 80s for the first time. She didn't know me, I didn't know her, and I walked into the room like I always do, and I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Dr. Hagans. What can I do for you today? And she says, look at you. You're a real doctor, and a girl too. And I think that's one of the great things about doing what we do. You're not only helping people, but you're also crushing those stereotypes that a doctor can only look a certain way. Let me tell you, nobody's expecting to see me, a young black female, when they're waiting in the room for the doctor. So I think we're crushing those stereotypes one patient at a time. And some people will say, why are you telling this? I wouldn't even tell anybody that I didn't pass it. All they need to know is that you're a doctor now. But I'm telling this story because somebody needs to be able to look at a situation. Maybe it's the same situation, or maybe it's their own personal failure, and look at it and say, you know what? This isn't the end of it. I'm going to pick myself up, dust myself off, and move forward. And I talked to a girl who said she had wanted to be a doctor, but she didn't think she could do it. And in talking to her, the reason why she thought she couldn't do it is because her grades in high school weren't that good. But my message to her is my same message to everybody, that you can still do this. No matter what's happened or no matter what's happening, things can still turn around. Never, 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 never give up. Never, ever give up.